What is up, guys? Chris here, and welcome to part 23. I want to say 23 of Grinding It Up. So today, the plan is we are going to have a little summary of the bankroll. We're going to look at a really cool hand, and then we're going to get into a little bit of a session. So, the summary. We had a nice day today. I haven't been playing the last few days. Had some personal stuff with a friend going on. Not going to get into that too much, but I just wanted you to know that it was quite important, and so as a result, I haven't had much time at all to play poker. But you know, life throws these things at you. Life throws these coolers at you and bad beats, and you just gotta run with them. And hopefully things will work out fine with that. I should be able to. There might be a bit of a less uploading potentially for the next week or two as a result of that, but I'm hoping that after that things should be fine, and even through this period we should be getting up one video per day, one video every couple of days, something like that. So just bear with me, and then hopefully I'll get some catch up going on, do quite a few, a bit of volume after that, where we can really catch up on a bit of series time. So today's session I did play. Here we are. We did like what's that, like yeah, about 800 hands, a bit more, 850. We turned a profit of about $9.50, which is obviously great, really good. So that puts the bankroll at 183.64. Remember, we need to get to $160 in profit before we move up to 10 NL. So we're going to look at a really cool hand now. Let's just see if we can find one. Yeah, here we go. You can see the result of it already there, but we'll just have a look at it here. Now this is without doubt the biggest cooler of the series, and I really feel sorry for this guy. Almore won here. This guy's the victim, I suppose. We don't really have any stats, so we're just going to get rid of the stats bar so we can see the hand properly. Now, I like this hand, 10x suited on the button. This guy raises. We're both pretty deep stacked, you know. Considering the maximum buy-in is $5 and the effective stack is his like 589, so there's, you know, a reasonable amount of you know, stack in the effective stack. And obviously we're in position, another big key thing. This wasn't a full ring game, but there was 3 players out, so there's only 6-handed, so lots of reasons to play this 10-8 suited hand here. So we get it heads up, and the flop is pretty damn good, as you can see. So we have got an open-ended straight flush draw, obviously the straight draw and the flush draw as well. So yeah, it's a pretty damn good board. Now he bets up 17. Now, because he raised pre-flop and we just called on the button, I imagine he's doing this with his entire range. Quite a small bet. But yeah, he really could have anything here. He could have aces, and he could have like... He was quite tight from the 20 hands I'd seen, so he could really have like pretty much anything that's reasonable, I guess. Obviously with our massive draw, we're not folding. We're definitely, just for the record, we are stacking off on the flop here. And I'll tell you why. It's because of just how many outs we have if you look at it. So if you look at... so we have got, obviously, 9 spades. Oh, we think, well, when we count outs, we don't look at what the other players, or we don't deduct anything that we don't know. So we're looking at 9 spades. And then we've also got 3 sevens, because one of the spades would be a 7, so we're only counting 3 of the 7s. And 3 queens. So if you look at that, that's 15 outs. That's basically, if he's got aces, we're at a coin flip. If he's got a 9 in his hand, we're at a coin flip with about 46-47% equity. So we have got so much equity, and when you add some fold equity onto that, it's definitely a stack off, you know. And you know, you never know, he might have a flush draw or something, and then we might hit an 8 or a 10, it might be good as well. So we've just got too much equity to ever fold here. But we decide to go for a raise. We make it fairly big. You know, well, you know, we don't want to make it really small because that makes it look like we've got a massive hand. And seeing as he's fairly tight, I thought, you know, oftentimes he's going to have a jack. He might have an overpair. He might have a 9 in his hand. Plenty of stuff that can call. And often pairs like 7s and 8s will be more likely to call on a paired board like this as well. And because of how many draws are out there, any hand he's got already like a pair might be more willing to call this because it looks like we might be doing this with a draw. But obviously he won't realise quite how strong a draw we have. You know, obviously this is much stronger than your standard straight or flush draw. In the event he calls, now at this point I'm putting him on something. You know, he's not doing this within his entire range. I'm putting him on a hand, possibly Ace Jack, King Jack, Ace 9. I don't think he has King 9 in his range, but he might do. So we're putting on like a good Jack, possibly a 9, and potentially an overpair Queens, Kings, or Aces. I think he would call with an overpair rather than raise usually, because obviously we might have the 9 ourselves and he wants to see whether the turn and river is safe. So yeah, he could have any number of things here really that we have decent equity against. Obviously that card is such a good card, sick card for us, giving us the straight flush, you know. The nuts. Because remember, straight flush beats quad, so he could have 9-9 and be, you know, dead. So obviously now it's just a question of getting as much value as we can. It's going to be difficult to stack him, 137, and the effective stack 524. We're on the turn already, so I kind of resign myself to not stacking him, just going for 3 streets of good value against a 9 or Ace Jack or something like that. He checks. I feel like the spade is going to worry him. That's a worrying card because it does bring in straight and flush draws, and obviously the straight flush draw, although he won't be concerned about that. So I feel like my sizing here is fairly small because I want him to call with a hand like Ace Jack, and I want him to call with a 9 as well, because obviously even a 9's worried on this board. So that's my thinking there. He goes ahead and calls. So at this point I'm putting him definitely on at least Ace Jack, probably more likely a 9 or an overpair. We're looking at Ace 9, an overpair, some worse flushes maybe. And then the king comes and he just jams it in for twice the pot. So I don't really care if it's a bluff or value bet. It does look very weird, but obviously we're just calling this off. And the poor guy, he's got pocket kings, so he's just made kings full there, which is pretty sick for him. Because I mean, I probably make a decent river bet and he might call it, but he doesn't lose his whole stack if that king doesn't roll off. So I thought that was a pretty sick cooler. Straight flush versus full house, the big full. Not even the little full, the big full. So that was good. And yeah, as promised, we shall now jump into a session. So we've had success at both the 6-max and the full ring tables today, but obviously I like playing the 6-max tables for our videos. So we're really getting quite close to 10 NL now, less than 4 stacks away from making the move upwards, and we've actually done it with pretty damn quickly. We've done about 21,000 hands after this session here. So to actually, did I start this recording thing? No, there we go. So to actually have probably pretty much gone up 2 levels nearly in 21,000 hands is pretty amazing, I think. And it just shows how much we're crushing the micros at the moment. I've got no doubt that things will get harder. I expect 10 NL to be a little bit harder, but it's not that much different from 5 NL, so I expect to keep a pretty similar win rate going there. I don't know what our win rate at 5NL is, probably like 15, 16 per 100. I expect to kind of keep that similar, aiming for at least 12 or 13 per 100 at 10NL. And I haven't decided whether we're just going to go straight from 10 to 25 or we're going to do 16NL as well. I mean, 16NL is a legitimate level, so I feel like we might, for the purposes of this challenge, wanting to go through all of the levels, and that's the point of the challenge, isn't it? Progressing through all the levels. I feel like we might actually go for 16NL. So that means we're going to be spending a short time at 10NL and 16NL, hopefully, and then a longer time at 25NL, which I do expect to be hard. 25NL is going to be difficult, for sure. Now this is a situation that you don't want to get caught out on. You fold to a bet on the flop there, for sure, I think. Just because you have a pair and you've got a club in your hand, it doesn't mean that it's a good place to make a call. And we're just going to see what happens when we bet here. This is just a bluff, really, just to try and take it down, because he checked. I think he probably bets an ace there, so I think we can actually try the bluff. I know you shouldn't, but I can't resist sticking my hand in the cookie jar sometimes. If he calls, then he's called it well, but I don't expect him to have an ace here. I think he's most likely holding a 9 or a busted club draw. Maybe a 9 and a busted club draw. Ah, he caught me. Had pocket 10s. Fair enough, fair enough. Obviously we're just calling with 8s. Can raise. Didn't really want to in that particular spot. So when he bets out, he's a very tight player by the looks of it. I expect him to have a king quite a lot of the time. I had like ace, king, king, queen. So I'm not going to get into trouble with that one. I'm going to try and focus on ranges in this session. Try and talk about the ranges. Obviously this guy looks quite tight, although he has just raised 2 pots in a row. We're obviously folding to that 3-bet there. King Jack offsuit is a terrible hand to call a 3-bet with. You're often dominated, and if you hit your king or your jack as a top pair type hand, you could often be in trouble. Here we'll take a flop in position. I don't expect him to be strong a lot of the time. So I might do a float here. Yeah, I was hoping he'd check, so now I'm hoping we can bluff him off, because it doesn't look like he has anything. This line he's taken is very weak. I'd be surprised if he has anything. Okay, his call there is interesting. Should we go for another bluff? Let's do it. I know you shouldn't, but I'm in a bluffy mood today. Oh, okay, he must have had an 8. That was an unfortunate river. I feel like that bluff would have worked. But we can't try the rebluff there. Okay, I'm going to stop bluffing now. It's not good. Not good. Here, we might be ahead sometimes. Oh, he caught that jack on the end. How unlucky. I think if anything, that's my biggest problem, is I just bluff too much, because obviously, usually incorporating a good amount of bluffing into your game is a good plan. But at the micros, I have to remember that it's not a good thing to do. I just seem to forget that rather a lot. Because I love bluffing, you know, it's part of the game of poker, and that's why I don't really find the micro stakes as fun, because you can't really do it. You have to just focus on value betting all the time, which is a little bit dreary. But we will definitely be doing some nice bluffing when we get up to 25, 50NL, for sure. You'll be seeing a different style of play there, where we can pull off some outrageous bluffs. I mean, you can't expect people to fold top pair at the micros, I've realised, you know. Oftentimes they'll put all their money in with top pair. which sometimes is fine, but sometimes it's just terrible. Most often, putting all of your money in with a hand as weak as top pair is not a good idea. But obviously it is situation dependent. Depending on the texture of the board and so on. Yeah, your bluff finally worked. Ace Jack, that's nice. 9-7 suited, good hand. King Jack, we can raise 9-7 suited. Now Ace Jack, I feel like out of position I probably want to be 3-betting it. Don't really want to see a flop with this hand out of position. And if I do, I certainly want it to be heads up. I don't want this guy to get involved. So this is partly a trying to take it down right now bluff and partly an isolation play. And there we go. We're atoning for some of those bluffs earlier. I really do hate just having to do the value betting thing. That's why the micros are so boring. Sorry, tea drinking time. Yes, so obviously ace queen here. No, just get a walk. It's a bit disappointing. I think we're going to fold this out of position. You could 3-bet it. I definitely wouldn't want to be calling. That's definitely either a raise or a fold situation. I found actually pre-flop bluffing works pretty well at the micros. It's just post-flop bluffing. It doesn't seem to work as well. Yeah, we're going to try and steal here, I think. It's a bit below my usual range, but I feel like these guys will fold a fair bit. Ace Queen under the gun, nice. Aces in the small blind, not bad at all. Now with a under gun player and a call, we want to be raising it up. We want to see this heads up, so we're trying to isolate here. And I think we're going to get a bit tricky here. We're just going to call with this one because obviously we've no need to isolate. Now that's a pretty good flop for us. Any 5 makes us straight, but I don't think he's got too many 5s in his range. May have some. When he checks, I really don't think he does though. I think there's not really any way he's going to outdraw us, apart from a 5, which makes it a split pot. Unless he's got a 6. But we're just going to check and hope he bluffs the river. Don't know whether I like that. I think we can put out a value bet for sure though. It's such a raggedy board. Really not much he can have there. If he raises, I think we might actually have to find a fold though in that spot. I was hoping to get called by a hand that was trying to get showdown like 7s, 8s, like a middling pair. Now this is a good flop. Top pair and the nut flush draw. That's what we're talking about right there. I think we're probably actually getting in on this flop. Even, yeah, I think we're probably getting in. on balance. If he wants to shove, we will oblige him and make the call. Could easily be on a worse flush draw. Doesn't look like he wants to fold, but he does. We could just call there, but the problem with that is if no more spades come and he barrels on the river, then we're in a really tricky situation. I always like to raise with strong draws. It balances your range between made hands like a set there and having draws and bluffs in your range. Whenever you got kings, the ace comes. We're gonna have to call a street, I think. If he bluffs, not bluffs necessarily. Okay, I feel like we can just check behind, pot control this, and maybe he'll bluff the river, because I definitely don't feel like he's got an ace. Can we get a 10 to call? I think we can get a 10 to call with the small bet here. Have to fold that. Fold that as well. You might have noticed I've made the session a little longer than the ones I usually do, just because I feel like, you know, slightly longer sessions would be a good thing to have in this series. Get some slight more volume done, I suppose. Make this one big. Just do a couple more hands here. We're going to see if we can look in depth if we get one more playable hand. We're just going to try and do it in an in-depth way. You want to give us a walk? Fold it. Okay, this could be a playable hand. So twos, small pairs, you can play them three ways. You can play them as if they're the best hand, you can set mine, or you can kind of take them and turn them into a bluff. So here against this player who's quite tight from the looks of it with a bigger stack, I'm probably just going to see a flop here. I feel like we've got good implied odds. If we hit our set, we're probably going to get paid. Probably got a hand like ace king, ace queen, something like that. We didn't hit our set, so we're going to fold. So I played this one for a set mining kind of way. There's a saying, no set, no bet, and also no call by extension. So we're going to follow that rule. I feel like our ill-advised bluffs lost us a little bit in that, but not too bad. As you can see, we're still a good $8 or $9 up for today, I believe. So that's not bad at all. Okay. So yeah, pretty good amount of hands right here. Let's have a look at some of our win rates quickly. So for 5&L, 11.3, that's at the standard 1 over 2k hands. With the deep stack, we've got basically 20. That's 1k at the 5&L deep stack. 5&L 6 max, obviously what we've been doing a lot of. Got 7,300 hands there. And we've been doing that for about 14 big blinds per 100. So far, we're doing pretty well at 5&L with about, what's the average of that? Maybe Yeah, maybe like 14, 15 big blinds per 100 at 5NL. It's not as good as we had at 2NL, admittedly, but it's not bad at all. So we're just gonna carry on going. You know, 18 more dollars, and we are at 10NL. So I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully where we can recount some more progress. Goodbye for now.